This is the Smoked Debrief. Light up, lock in, and let's get to it.
Hello, I'm Jim.
Jim, nice to meet you, Jim.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Hollywood.
Nice to meet you, Hollywood.
And this is the Smoked Debrief.
Today, we have got a Dominican. We wanted to get some Dominicans on here.
Maybe this is Dominican. You never really know when Jim does his
I
research.
Googled, and according to Googly, the Arturo Fuente Hemingway is a Dominican. Do we need to verify?
No, I trust you completely.
Well, then why are you talking shit right off the bat?
Because you're notorious for talking out of your behind.
Well,
I mean, you are a conservative after all.
I am a conservative.
So not that I hold that against you. It's just,
You know, I want to ask you something. As the cigar consigliere,
yeah.
how would you cut that?
I wouldn't. That's the smoking end.
Yeah, I understand that.
You cut it down here.
But what is the point in that? I mean, is this like a
Like
religious thing?
It's for non-circumcised men, so they feel more comfortable with the cigar.
Oy vey.
Yeah, so oy vey, that's not really appropriate because Jewish men are circumcised. So saying oy vey is kind of
If you have to explain shit, it ceases being funny.
I didn't think it was funny at all.
I thought it was, and I know our 3 viewers will think it's funny too.
I think we have 4 viewers today. Maybe we should start going Facebook Live or TikTok Live. No, just one more thing to screw up. And then we couldn't fix it when you say things that would get me in trouble. Now, it's interesting, as much as I like Opus X's, I never smoke Fuentes. That's weird, right?
That is weird, because you think that, this is his main line and the Opus X is his Cadillac. This would be his Ford Chevy.
Well, that's good. Wow.
Arturo Fuente Hemingway, and it is good.
I mean, right away.
So how'd your filming go yesterday at the range?
Jim, the president of your gun range? Is that what the title is?
I am, yeah.
There are some people. The very first thing that happened, there were 2 people out there, 3 influencers, 2 men and a woman.
How does one become an influencer?
I don't know, but they have got a shitload of fucking followers on the social media. And the very first thing that happened is one of the influencers had the woman. They were about 10 yards away from a metal target. What do you call it? The
target?
No, but is there a special name for a metal target when you're shooting at it? It's in a human shape.
Shooting steel. Oh,
steel.
Silhouette.
Silhouette steel.
Steel silhouette.
Steel silhouette. I got the drone up in the air and I'm flying it about 10 feet in front of them, about 20 feet, and I'm looking down at them, shooting at 120 frames a second, so everything's super slow-mo.
Yeah, it shot the drone. It ricocheted off the silhouette and hit the drone.
No.
Damn, that would have been some good footage.
It would have been some great footage. So I'm looking down at him. Nick's standing behind her. The guy that's showing her how to shoot, I don't think she's ever shot before. Of course, she said she had, but I don't think she ever has.
Yeah.
She was in the Air Force, for fuck's sake.
Well, that explains that.
And a medic. And she's shooting at the target. She's target. 7th or 8th round, she finally hits it. What do you think she does?
Hits it right in the ding-ding.
No. She spins around with the pistol in her hand and starts doing a dance. And the pistol's pointed right at Nick's dick.
Aim small, miss small. Huge no-no. Were they live? Were they filming that live?
Oh, yeah. No, not live. No.
Oh, okay.
No, we were filming. No. Nick immediately became, and we'd had a safety briefing already. But Nick immediately became the
drill instructor?
No, yeah, the safety instructor from that moment on.
He should have.
And so the rest of the day was pretty much uneventful. But
I saw the pictures Nick posted. It looked like it was a good time.
But you know guys that are gunfighters.
Yeah.
That know how to shoot. That know shit.
It's all second nature.
Everything they do is
just full on.
We had one guy that was like, but the other guy was not. He had weapon malfunction after weapon malfunction and
Glock.
I don't want to be too specific.
Well, when we first met and you were filming John Ruby, the weapon snatcher.
Yep.
You talk about somebody with some skills. It's
like it's like a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody who is in. I think majority of Marines are like that because the Marines are drilled about their rifles and everything from the get go more than I think any of the other branches.
If you're not in special forces or Delta or what you're saying is your common on the street Marine is more knowledgeable than your common on the street grunt.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
As far as rifle shooting and stuff, yeah, because they were taught more. It is nice. It's really cool to see somebody who has experience with firearms and firing them, and the safety is like automatic with them. Like it's just automatic, and they have that discipline, and it's beautiful to watch them. You know, when we had sheepdog training at the range, and I was out there just observing, and it was the trainers at that time. They were all Green Berets that came over from Fort Bragg and did it for Tim Kennedy, and one of them, I can't remember his last name, Ben, but I was watching him, and there was this one old guy at the end, and he didn't. They were supposed to aim and shoot everything, just expend everything they had. And Ben was in the middle of the line, and he's like, "Okay, shoot!" You know, he's going down, and that old man stopped, and Ben was like, "Kill, kill, 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 shoot, 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 shoot!" And the guy was like, because Ben knew he had more rounds in his gun, and it got his attention, but it's really cool to see him, and even the instructors when they're giving instruction, especially the sheepdog guys. I mean, they're just top notch. It's so cool to watch them. And then after you see the students, after they've had the class, and the students are so confident, and that's what it needs to be. They need to have that confidence that they can properly handle that. Of course, you always have to practice. But shooting a weapon is a skill, and you have to hone that skill. So
that's exactly right.
This is good.
It's really good. It's almost like you can't defend yourself in your home anymore.
Well, we can here.
But you can't. I'm just saying, a lot of states now call the police.
You're expected to retreat.
And the police, are 15 minutes away. You're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know when practicality went out the window and when, some states are like, we'd rather you get hurt than you use your weapon to defend yourself.
Yeah, it's like, was it Minnesota or Chicago? This guy had pulled a gun out and was going to kill somebody, and the cops shot him and killed him. And the mayor came out and spoke out in sympathy for the man's family and all this stuff. Well, what about the victims? What if they had been shot? It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
That's when they, of course, this is the same mayor that they want to defund the police, but then they're the first ones to cry when something happens and they don't have any protection. If only let's keep it jovial today.
Oh, you want to keep it jovial?
Yeah. Has Dan had any more of his escapades?
Well, I can honestly say,
wait a minute, escapades.
Well, Dan is very respectful, so Dan isn't the kind of man that would, go get the booty. He would want the booty to come to him.
Now we're talking about Dan,
the star of the TV series Office Joe.
Yes.
We're going to get Dan canceled, just like in the TV. Just like, as handsome as he is, and as in shape as he is,
he shouldn't have any issues.
If he
needs to work on that game.
He has no game. He has absolutely no game, and he is. He's 17.
When I was growing up, I'm a ugly motherfucker, but I have game. And I had a game. I still got game, but it's usually with my wife now.
It's always with your wife
now? Whoops. Yeah, I'll edit that one.
But I'm excited to see how this progresses with this girl. Because she's very different. She's very intelligent. She's pretty. It's so funny because he was bitching the other day because he had sent her a bunch of the stuff that he and I had done together. And she commented, "Oh, it's nice." He's like, we put a lot of work into it. I'm like, bro, if she had fawned all over this shit, you would have said, she's coming on too strong. Yeah. I'm like, just shut the fuck up. You know, I said, he goes, well, I don't know if that's right. I said, bro, I got double your life experience on you. You just need to shut up and don't F this up.
Just take it.
Just let it happen as it happens.
Well, you know,
and then last night, our friend from our MFM podcast, where we just talk about outrageous man-woman relationship.
I just want you to know it's back to MFM now since you've seen the Warriors.
Okay.
So,
yeah, okay, good.
Continue.
She's like, you guys will be married and having kids before long. And, of course, Dan freaked out. She goes, is she talking about getting married? Because that's our friend said, because our friend knows her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dan, ignore I texted him, because in my private chat, I said, ignore everything that Michelle says. Get married and have kids, because that freaked him out immediately. Because he doesn't think he'll ever get married, and I don't know that he will. You know?
Yeah.
Because he's gonna have to meet an amazing woman, and I keep telling him, bro, I've been feeling signs that this is the woman. I've been having
the
visions.
Exact opposite of what he was looking for.
Yeah, I said I've been having visions that. So Dan,
well, you know, I did hear from a female that the booty fetish. I don't want to say it's fetish because that sounds kind of pervy. That attribute that he likes, is because he's well endowed.
So there's some cushion.
There's some cushion.
So it's not
cushion.
Hip bone to tailbone or something like that. Okay, well,
that nail's not hitting brick.
I can neither confirm or deny that, but you know.
Nor I. Although I am a multiple orgasm donor club member. Are you?
Of course, I have my card, so I just get it.
A pilot. It's like automatic. You're automatically in it.
I've been flying since I was 17. They didn't give me a card when I was 17 years old, pal.
You know this airport that's over here close by? It used to be an airport over down on the other end of Burlington called Fairchild. This is back during World War II and after. And my dad flew little, small planes. When he was dating my mom, he had a buddy. They kept playing over at Fairchild Park, and he would get in the plane and go over to where my mother lived on their farm, and he would come down and buzz the barn, and my grandmother would come out there, with a broom to get him away. And somebody called the Civil Air Patrol?
Civil Air Patrol, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Whoever the police were that handled that.
CAA, Civil Aeronautics Association.
Okay. Well, somebody called.
The precursor to the FAA.
And his buddy got on the radio telling you might want to go land in Greensboro because they're looking for you down here. So he had to go off in Greensboro. And he always wanted me to learn how to fly. I remember when we would be little, when I was little, and he would tell me, I want you to learn how to fly a plane. I never did. It's not too late. I can always learn.
You can. But if you're going to do it, do it. Don't fuck around and fly once a week. Take a month of your life and get your pilot's license.
Well, I could just get an Xbox simulator and
you could.
Microsoft, and
you could.
I'll get a certificate. That'll be all I need,
That's all you need, yeah. They're pretty sophisticated now, though. I think you can get an F-18 cockpit simulator that has a chair that looks like the ejection seat, all the multifunction displays. I think you can get the entire setup now.
Yeah, hydraulics and everything where you're doing a roll. It's doing a roll with you.
I don't think you're going to roll in your house.
You'd be surprised. I've got some buddies that have F1 simulators, and they've got about $70,000 in them bad boys, and it's extreme. It has little misters that will emit smells like rubber smells and gasoline smells and stuff while you're driving, and then
what
dust. Yeah, it's insane the stuff that they have on those simulators.
That's crazy. When's that movie come out?
The what?
Is it a movie or a series with Brad Pitt?
Oh, F1?
Yeah.
It's a movie. I think it comes out in May or June. Did you see the trailer I sent you? I thought when they filmed Grand Prix with James Garner That was intense. You know, that was back in the 60s, and they had those big ass cameras mounted on those race cars, and you were actually seeing going down the track and stuff. Well, if you look at any of the behind the scenes when they're filming the one with Brad Pitt, a lot of it is CGI, but a lot of it is real because they were out there during real F1 races and would be filming. It's insane. I love. You remember Sylvester Stallone did one called Driven.
Driven.
Yeah, and that one had a lot of CGI in it. You could tell because you know it was that time. What was that, like 1999 or something?
Yeah.
But you could see, like, you can watch Jurassic Park, the old Jurassic Park now, and you can say, oh, you know, it looks fake as hell. But the new stuff, it's incredible.
Whoa. You mean that island doesn't really exist?
Oh, no, the island exists. I'm sorry. I was just talking about the movie. The island is real.
Yeah, and the dinosaurs are real, right?
Well, they couldn't train the dinosaurs well enough to make the movie, so they had to CGI them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow.
They were just too wild.
Really, that's too bad. Well, they did a pretty good job making those dinosaurs look real.
You know, have you seen Kong Island? That would be a cool place to visit.
You know, there's people right now out there going, if we had an audience, going, that stupid son of a bitch, he thinks those dinosaurs are really on that island. They're getting all worked up right now, you know. That's what I love about the internet, is that
We can do whatever we want.
you can say something like I just said, completely being hysterically joking, and people will fucking take you serious and lose their minds.
It's like these guys get on the groups, you know, the comic book groups, and they talk about how Batman could beat Superman.
How's that possible?
It's not.
He's a human being.
I mean,
Superman's from
Batman would not
Krypton.
even get close.
Yeah, he'd X-ray vision him or
Just
something.
zap him with one blast with his eyes.
Or blow him away.
Yeah. There you go. How's that cape working out for you?
Yeah.
Or spit a super loogie on him.
Bam! Concussion. I mean, what are they thinking? How is that even, you know? No, Batman could. No. I'm not even a big comic book fan. Let's face it. When I was a kid, I read a couple of comics, but I was outside all the time.
Yeah,
I was playing every sport. I was, you know, going flying with my dad. I was, you know, I didn't sit at home for hours and read comic books and rush down to the comic book store for Superman Edition 7 when it came out.
I never was.
How did that happen? When and how did that happen?
Yes.
Number one, we didn't have the money.
Yeah. Well, back then it was like 5 cents for a comic book.
But still.
You still had to have 5 cents.
That's right.
Because you didn't need money. Now, if your kids are going outside or something, you're like, make sure you got a couple dollars to get something to eat, you know. But back then,
it's weird.
You know, little Bobby's mama's making sloppy joes for everybody. Come on, let's go.
That's right.
They fed each other. You know, somebody was always.
I just think about, man, we stayed out till the street lights came on.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you knew to come in.
And it was a good time.
I mean, holy shit. It was punishment if you couldn't go outside.
Yeah.
Stay in your room. That was punishment. My, how things have changed.
I never got into Superman. I liked Batman. I liked Captain America. I loved Nick Fury. Those comic books were great. Spider-Man. But now, what I enjoyed reading, you know, their adventures in the comic books.
Besides
now,
the adult magazines.
Yeah. I'm talking about the comics. Now, and I love, like, the Captain America movies, especially the first one. I thought it was great. But I think they just ruined it.
Well, it's gotten political. Did Snow White.
But they didn't do Snow White in the 70s.
No dwarves and no Prince Charming.
Because Tyrion Lannister complained. Isn't that who he played? Who's the little guy on Game of Thrones? He's the one who complained.
Fuck that guy.
Have you seen the one I think it's called Into the Woods? And it's
a play.
It
started out as a play.
Yeah, but they've got like Gerard Butler and they've CGI'd him where it's his face, but it's on a little dwarf or something. It's really a good movie. It's pretty funny.
Well, they did that to my buddy John Rhys Davis when he played the Dwarf King.
Dwarf King on
Gimli.
Throne.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
No, The Hobbit.
Lord of the Rings.
Was it Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
No, it was The Hobbit.
No.
The Hobbit too.
The Hobbit came before Lord of the Rings, though it was filmed after
yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
That was an epic movie. I love watching that because even though I know how it's going to end, I still get into it. And like the first one ends, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to pull up the other one.
So I was living in LA. I went to the theater at the mall from Valley Girl, Galleria. That's where the big AMC theater was. I went to see the first Lord of the Rings. I didn't know it was the first Lord of the Rings because I never read.
You never read the book?
Tolkien.
Yeah, I never read Tolkien either.
You know, I was a country ass boy living on a military base. They weren't sharing Tolkien with us back in those days. And when the movie ended, I'm like, what the fuck? And the girl, she was like 10 years younger than me. She goes, what's wrong? I said, that's how it ends? That's how it ends? She goes, no, there's going to be 2 more movies. And I was like, what an idiot I am.
You just think if Lord of the Rings was not written, if Tolkien had not written Lord of the Rings, I don't think we would have Led Zeppelin because the majority of Led Zeppelin's good songs are talking about Lord of the Rings.
Is that right?
Yes.
You forget I was, when it comes to rock and roll, when it comes to rock, I never heard rock until I was 21. I listened to Motown and country. The first rock album I ever heard was Kiss.
Hell yeah. Destroyer?
Yeah.
Or Live too?
Live 2, I think.
Oh,
no, it was 1981.
That's the disco album. I was made for loving you. Unless it was Lick It Up.
It was Lick It Up. It was Lick It Up. Lick It Up!
Yeah.
That's the one. What's the other song on there?
You know how that song came to be?
Gene Simmons
was pouring some milk for his cat. He spilled it on the floor. And he told his cat, lick it up, lick it up.
I believe that. Yeah,
that's almost stupid enough to be the way he writes a song. It would not surprise me. I love Gene Simmons.
So his wife did a lot of
soft porn.
Well, yes, totally soft porn. And
Showtime.
Showtime. And I worked on about 10 of them.
Tony, no.
Zalman Key, no.
I can't remember her name.
Shannon Tweed.
Yeah, Shannon Tweed.
Nice as she could be. And one day she's in bed with this guy. We're shooting the scene, and it wasn't. It was just all you saw was her boobs. There was it wasn't hardcore. It was just softcore.
She showed her boob to everybody.
Yeah. And Gene came to the set. It was so fucking cool. He walks in, and I turn around. My buddy and I were standing there, and I turn around, and he's like 6'4", about my height. And there's Gene, Gene Simmons. And I wouldn't have known who he was right away, except for the hair, you know.
It's very distinct kind of hair.
And we're like, hey, he goes, how you guys doing? We're like, we're doing great. I said, do you need some? He goes, no, I just came to have, you guys are going to lunch soon, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, just came to my wife to lunch when she's on lunch. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And we cut, and he walks in, and she's in bed with this other guy, and he sits down on the bed next to her, and this guy's, in bed with her. I was like, hey, honey. She's like, oh, you came, you made it. And like, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's just sitting there, laying there, going, oh, it was so freaking funny. And
he wasn't one of those, the guy that was in the bed with her wasn't one of those guys where she told me she loved me.
No, he was one of those guys that was, most of those guys were gay that did all those showtimes and stuff because, they didn't have an issue with their body and they didn't mind being, and so the very first one of those showtimes things I did, I was pushing dolly, and that's what the camera sits on. And we're outside this house in Malibu. I've got dolly track that runs all the way in through the French doors into the bedroom, and we start outside the French doors, and then we push in past the doors to the bed, and then you end up on the couple, right? And they're standing there making out at first, and then and so we're pushing in, and then they're gonna turn and fall into the bed. And when the guy turns, he had a sock on his junk, and I just fucking started laughing because it was the funniest thing, I never expected to see a sock.
Was it cold? It's like a heated sock or something?
No, just because they don't make contact.
Yeah.
And then they eventually started putting fake. They put like plastic,
fake junk,
like not like what stuff that's skin
silicone?
like? What?
Silicone?
Yeah. They put it over there, and it would adhere to the thighs, and so the junk would come up. And but yeah, there was a sock. I just busted out laughing, and everybody turned and looked at me, and I'm like,
you had to reset.
We had to reset. We had to go back to one.
Just not what we're talking about, but that camera you're talking about on the track.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie with Elliot Gould? And I can't remember the other guy. It's called Bustin'. They were cops. Quentin Tarantino was talking about it on the Video Archives podcast. And they talk about how it was filmed. And they said that probably 90% of it was the camera was on a track following them through hallways and stuff, like coming back. They're walking into the camera and stuff. Yeah. And there's one scene, the shootout scene, where they're in this open grocery in Los Angeles. And that's one of the best shootout scenes as far as where the cameras and
What's
stuff.
What's the show called?
It's called Bustin'. It was a movie. I think it was 1970. It was Elliot Gould and
I'll tell you,
somebody else. But it's called Bustin'. And it's on, I think it's on Amazon Prime. Good movie. Damn, dude, I'm done. This was a good smoke.
1974.
Oh, shit, I was right. Damn.
Called Busting. Got a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Don't believe it. It's a good movie. If you're looking at the way it was filmed and stuff.
Elliot Gould and fucking Robert Blake.
Yeah,
the guy who killed his wife and got away with it.
Allegedly.
That trial, that was all going on when I lived in L.A. And the restaurant where they were supposed to have left from was like 6 blocks from my little bungalow.
Where Fran Drescher lived.
No. When I first lived in L.A., I lived up on the hill on Barham above Universal Studios. Then I moved to Valley Village and lived on Hartsook, 12128 Hartsook. And that was in Studio City where that restaurant. It was cool, man. It was cool living in LA in the 90s.
I bet.
It was really, it hadn't gotten crazy yet.
I like looking at the old, which, all of it's gone now, but you can go on these websites and they'll superimpose an old overhead view of the studio as compared to now, and like where Gilligan's Island was filmed, and now it's like a parking lot. Where the lagoon was, it's a parking lot, and that stuff is so cool. And like where the Planet of the Apes village was, and it's so cool.
LA in the 90s, I mean, it was even better in the 70s and 80s, but the 90s, it was still cool. I mean, it was still very much, the filmmaking. Studios weren't owned by corporations then.
It's just strange that they don't value their history, which now I guess it's nostalgia.
It's because, Jim, if you look at the other countries, they're 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
So they have history from the thousands. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They have history from the 1100s, from the 800s, buildings, churches so their history is, it took some forethought to break down a 1,000-year-old church. You know what I mean?
Have you seen that documentary on when Cecil B. DeMille did Ten Commandments?
Ten Commandments.
And they had, it was Ten Commandments. And they built like an actual life-size pyramid with the lions and stuff out in the desert of California. And they just left it. And I think they were told, like, bury it or whatever. Well, there's a documentary where they go out and they find it.
Really?
Of course, it was all plaster and chicken wire and stuff. But they found portions of it. They unburied it,
unearthed it.
Yeah,
Really?
It was pretty cool.
No, history's awesome, man. We don't have any respect for history as Americans.
No. Look at Vegas.
Stop. Bro,
I love like old Vegas.
I have like 5 old Vegas books about, how there was a road and then one casino and then.
Yeah. When I first went, the first time I went to Vegas, I fell in love. And it's like, what I like is how they put stuff together. Like the presentation is the main thing for them. They've got to get you with that first spot. They got to catch you right then. And so then I became fascinated with Steve Wynn. And there's an unauthorized biography of him.
I've interviewed him like 4 or 5 times.
I think he's a genius.
One thing I liked about Stephen Wynn is, he lost his eyesight.
Yeah.
We were interviewing him and he goes, the interviewer was talking about money. Steve Wynn was loaned like $500 million to do his first thing because of his father.
Yeah.
Someone gave Steve Wynn $500 million. And Steve Wynn said, let me tell you something. If you're rich and you're not giving money to people that are less fortunate, you're an asshole and you don't deserve it. And that was very cool.
Yeah.
But he had these 4 bodyguards that traveled everywhere.
Well, look at all the stuff he created. Well, I think the Golden Nugget was the first thing he went to.
I think you're right. Let's consult.
The Golden Nugget is amazing. And then he was the one who started the marketing to families. And he did the Mirage, and then he did Bellagio, and just his story was unique. And since Dolly is on the market now because her husband's passed away, there was a rumor her husband passed away.
Oh, you mean on the dating market?
There's a rumor in the 80s when she was performing in Vegas at one of his casinos. In that autobiography, they didn't come out and say it, but they hinted that he had a small affair with Dolly.
It wouldn't be a small affair. Those things are
Steve
huge.
Wynn. Yeah. Can you imagine? But he's just so cool. I called when he started the Wynn. I enjoyed reading about stuff that he's done and his accomplishments and everything. And I'm not saying that he's like the most perfect human being in the world. I think he was being accused of sexual assault or something like that. But I liked his story, and I thought, as far as business wise, it was inspirational. So I called the Wynn and talked to his secretary, and I said, could I get an autographed picture of Mr. Wynn? I'd be more than happy to pay you for it. And she said, is that all you want? And I said, yes. I said, I'd be happy to pay for it. She said, I will have Mr. Wynn sign a picture and I will send it out to you. Let me have your address.
No way.
Yeah. And I've got it somewhere, but, it's just cool.
You're like me. You're not afraid.
If you don't ask.
You're not afraid to ask.
No, you gotta ask. I'm real, like, when you would call me and you'd say, hey, John Reese Davis is up here. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I stay back.
Crazy Bill Smithrovich is up here.
Yeah. I'm on the way. Miami Vice, I'm on the way. Well, that's how I remember him. But even then, you respect their space. Because, most people will just be all up on them and stuff like that. And you feel like, you're sitting there, you're laying back, and you're waiting for your opportunity, and then just go in there and do it. My friend Garrett and I had some tickets to get into the Comic-Con in Raleigh a few years ago. And I asked Garrett if he wanted to go, and he's like, oh, hell yeah, I want to go. And there was a whole bunch of people going to be there. Tim Curry, Edward James Olmos.
Just a sweet transvestite.
Yeah, Sharon
From
Tate.
transsexual Transylvania.
Just whole.
Sharon Tate?
Not Sharon Tate. Catherine Tate.
Who's she?
Comedian. She was in The Office, and she's got her own show. She's hilarious. Garrett, he was wounded in the war, and I told him straight up, I said, bro, we got to milk this. He's like, oh, I'm on it. And we had his wheelchair and everything, and we wheel in, and we got moved to the front of every line. They would come over and move us up there. And Edward James Olmos, they were charging like $60, $80, $100, depending on what you wanted signed. And his guy took us both up to the front, and he sat there and talked to us for like 15 minutes. And I got pictures. We didn't have to pay a dime. And we went to the guy from Blazing Saddles. Mr. Tackett, you got any more of them beans? Not Slim Pickens.
Oh,
The
Alex
guy,
Karras.
Smiley. I think they called him Smiley because he had that smile. You know, had the black hat. Well, he was there, and they charged us. And I was like, you know, I don't mind paying for it. That's how these people make their money. So I didn't mind paying for it. Well, we got up there, and he was like, y'all paid to get this picture, this signed picture for me? Yes, sir. And he told this guy, he said, you give them their money back. These couple of veterans, you give them their money back. And it was so cool. And then Catherine Tate, and I took them, I took Catherine Tate a Salvation shirt. And we've got pictures of us all in there. She's got her shirt. George Takei, I took him a shirt.
He's the nicest guy.
A little strange, but
he's the most liberal guy on the planet.
Yes.
But he is truly a nice guy.
When he debuted on Howard Stern, and he did that, that was my ringtone for Carrie. When Carrie would call me, I had that as my ringtone. What's his name? Ron Perlman. He was kind of a dick, but that's a big dude. I mean, his freaking hands were so.
But he's only like 5'9".
Yeah,
his head he has a huge noggin.
Yeah.
He did a movie called The Witcher or something, or The Witch Hunter, or I think with
the Rose.
With
Sean Connery.
No, with
Vin Diesel.
Stop it.
Well, The Witcher, I think. No, it wasn't.
Nicolas Cage. And we had to do reshoots.
Yeah. And
Ron was in it, and I'm sitting on my truck on the electric truck during lunch, and I'm smoking a cigar. That's what I did every day. He walked by, and go, "What are you smoking?" And I'm like, and this was in L.A., and so the Big Easy, we had a guy that went to Cuba, and we bring Cubans in. You could get, legitimate Cubans.
Yeah. I
said, part of the Series D. He goes, oh. He goes, where'd you get that? And I said, do you know where the Big Easy is over in Studio City? He goes, yeah. I said, well, we have a guy that goes to Cuba and brings real Cubans back. Just go in there and ask for Eric. That was the owner. And tell him that Hollywood sent you. And I said, but I've got another one right here if you want to smoke. He's like, yeah. So I sat on the tailgate of my truck with Ron Perlman at lunch, and we smoked.
That's so cool.
And then like a week later, I come walking in, and Eric goes, dude, do you know everybody? And I'm like, why? Then he goes, Ron Perlman came in here 2 days ago and goes, is the code word Hollywood to get a part of the Series D? And Eric goes, it sure is. And Eric went back and he bought a whole box.
That's awesome.
But
that's the one person I've met him, but
he's an anti-gun guy now, I think, too. So
I think he's anti-everything guy. His book is really good until you get to the last chapter, and it's kind of self-hating because he's a white guy and things like that. But the whole book was great except for that last chapter. But he tells these great stories when he was filming The Island of Dr. Moreau with Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando. And it's so
They were on that island for fucking months. That must have been just a nightmare.
There's one story he tells when, like, the day that Marlon Brando showed up, he said he's got this entourage, and they had these different camps set up. And their camp was one spot, and then Marlon Brando's lodging was on down the road. And they said that everybody was standing out there, and they were waiting because they figured he was going to stop, and everybody said, hey, meet and greet. And they're all out there, and it said, here comes the car, and it just keeps going. It doesn't stop. And they didn't see or speak to Marlon Brando for days after that. It was so funny. And some of the stories he tells about that movie, that's worth it.
It was like being in a POW camp, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was horrible.
It's some of the things that Brando expected. You know, he was a good actor, but sometimes just because somebody's very talented, they kind of abuse that fame.
When you have people around, I'm not justifying this.
Yeah, when you have people that
But when you have
up.
people around you that are licking your ass, 24/7, it takes a really strong person to not.
And I mean, Marlon Brando is he's one of the greats. He did that movie with Robert De Niro when The Heist.
Yes.
And he's in the bar.
Great movie.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. Frank Oz directed it, and he's the guy that did Miss Piggy's voice. Well, if you watch they have outtakes, and it's when Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro are at the bar and they're talking about that job. And Marlon Brando, there was no script. He was just totally winging it. And Marlon Brando's over there. He's talking to De Niro. He said, well, we'll just have to see if Miss Piggy will let us do this. And he could not stand Frank Oz, and he called him Miss Piggy the whole time they were filming and shit. Stories like that are cool.
You know,
that was a great movie.
You know what my favorite Marlon Brando movie is?
All Along the Waterfront?
The Freshman.
Matthew Broderick.
Where he plays the Godfather.
Dustin Hoffman was in that one too, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman was in it. It was his father. Hey Siri, what was the cast of the movie The Freshman?
The Freshman 1990 stars Marlon Brando, Matthew Broderick, Bruno Kirby, Maximilian Schell, and Frank Whaley.
Miller.
The Freshman 1925 stars Harold Lloyd.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
You know, he's Matthew Broderick's a film student, and he meets this girl in his class, and they fall in love, and she's the daughter of the Godfather.
Well, which one was it that had Dustin Hoffman in it? It was like Dustin Hoffman, Matthew Broderick, and Sean Connery, I think.
You're stuck on Sean Connery, baby.
Well, I think that was a movie that had him in it. Anyway, I love movies.
I know movies we should be doing smoking and movie review.
Okay.
Because we love movies. I mean, we could talk about movies forever. So I watched season 4 of True Detective.
Yeah, what'd you think?
You've seen it?
Yeah.
What a great twist at the end.
Yeah.
As to who killed those guys.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I was a bit confused at the end. Did she walk into the snow and die? Or was she really on the porch at the end with Jodie Foster?
Sometimes you gotta, I think I watched that twice because when Carrie and I are watching stuff, she'll fall asleep and then we'll have to watch it again. But there's certain things I'll have to watch stuff over again just to see, was that what? And I blew Courtney's mind this morning when I told her, did you know that the ghost from season 4 that she started chasing was Matthew McConaughey's grandfather? Father from the first series? And she's like, no. I said, you got to watch it all over again now. It's kind of crazy.
What was his last name? Rust what?
Cole.
Rust,
blowing coal or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. That was. Did you watch it and see that?
I haven't watched it yet.
Because you remember he appears to that lady.
Yeah.
And the lady follows him out into the.
Yeah. And then
And I love that old woman that had moved, not old, but that woman that had moved to Alaska from the regular part of the world, and it was like she was a hit woman, or she helped to give her to the bodies, and she's like, you could tell that she had not been a nice lady when she, and which was, I want you to go see what's her name, and tell her that you need to go see Lisa because she had dumped Lisa's ashes, into the sea.
Yeah.
Tell her that you need to take somebody out to be with Lisa.
So what do you think? Good smoke?
Great smoke.
Arturo Fuente Hemingway's good smoke.
You can smoke this all the time and love it.
Yeah, that's a good everyday smoke. I can't remember what we paid for them. They might be a little pricey because they're Arturo Fuentes, but
well worth it.
It's an $8 or $9 cigar.
It's a steal. Yeah. It's worth $14.
Yeah.
You paid $14. It's too short for me. I'm already done, but
we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time on the Smoked Debrief.